the country last month. We're joining us now. Dr. Sinan Ciddi is a senior fellow on Turkey at the FDD. Thank you very much for being with us, Sinan. So does Turkey have much influence with Tehran, and is it using that influence to try and calm the tensions?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I would hesitate to say that Turkey has strong influence over anything related to the ongoing crisis as we see it unfolding. What we're actually seeing, what Turkey's main motivation seems to be, is actually raising its voice to be noticed. And per your introduction, I would say that's also the reason why Erdogan sort of last week or 10 days before actually used those words to enter Israel at night quietly, or what many interpreted to be to invade Israel. Turkey doesn't seem to have a lot of influence over many of sort of regional actors' sort of motivations. Turkey's not involved in the hostage negotiations. It's more about raising its voice to try and get noticed, when in fact it really is playing an infinitesimally small, if any, role at all in this ongoing crisis.
Meanwhile, relations between Turkey and the US are not great right now, but it does look as though the US is making good on its pledge to sell Turkey dozens of F-16 fighter jets. We have some comments from the Turkish defense minister on that yesterday. Is that related at all to the current tensions?
Look, the US is in a strange position. This administration in the last 4 years has really struggled to sort of manage Turkey, or work with Turkey, I should say, on any level. And that's also predicated upon previous administrations dating back as far as 2010, when they really don't know how to deal with Turkey. Because on the one hand, you've got Turkey, a NATO ally, right, and a former ally of Israel, right, which is the only country inside of NATO as well as the European Union that not only it disagrees with how Israel's approaching Gaza, for example, but it's fundamentally the only enabler of Hamas, right? It provides it material support. With the Israeli authorities keep seizing weapons shipments and whatnot. And that's a problem as a NATO ally. So the United States is, on the one hand, aware of such things, but on the other hand, it's spending a considerable amount of energies not to actually sort of distance further its relationship with Turkey. So Turkey proved to be useful and instrumental in the recent prisoner exchange between Russia and the United States, which was part of one of the nations that was part of the consortium that helped settle that issue. So it's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Now, yes, and that's one of the reasons why Turkey's pressing ahead with the F-16 purchase and the US willingness to sell it, because that was part of the deal, that if Turkey removed its objections to Sweden's inclusion into an expanded NATO, then the US would proceed with the sale. So we shall have to see.
And what about reports, Sinan, that Erdogan is also seeking to repair ties with another enemy of Israel's, the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad? How might that tip the balance in the region?
Well, that's an unknown. So you're quite, the actual ongoings of that, what's actually happening inside those negotiations, is your guess is as good as mine. We understand that they are going to meet sometime, and likely in Moscow, basically because the Russians have been pushing at this. So it very much depends what that looks like and what kind of compromise and settlement they reach. But one of the things that we worry about, obviously, is if there is an increased sort of conflict between Israel and, for example, let's just say it's confined to conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon, to what extent will Syria be co-opted into that sort of conflict as a means to supply Hezbollah forces? And what will Turkey's response be to that if they should reach some sort of negotiated settlement with the Syrian regime? It's all an unknown, but at the very minimum, it's very worrying.
It certainly throws up some concerns, doesn't it, Sinan? Thank you very much, Dr. Sinan Ciddi there at the FDD.